whole thing's very interesting, I was thinking. Like, what he's saying, selling the idea. Like, are we buying what he's selling? Does it work?
I'm buying what he's selling.
Yeah?
But I'm not playing. I mean, it's a back three. It's wing backs.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all probably played in that system. We've probably played in a four. At the end of the day, I don't know where to stand with this one, because this guy's just in, and the results are pretty much horrible. Are we on the side of the fence that says he's got Liverpool at the weekend? Is it going to be more compact, playing a back four, and then five in front, and having a bit of protection, or does he continue to do what he's been doing, which has not been working? Now, when you play in a back three, if your spaces between your centre halves and your wing backs are not good, and the communication is not good, there is much more space arises than when you're playing what we would call a traditional back four,
Which we saw against Newcastle.
And there lies the problem. Is where is he standing on this? He obviously believes that, rightly or wrongly, that he can play against Liverpool and fix these issues to get some sort of result. I'm just not sure he can.
See, at the moment, what he's trying to say is, I'm going to do it my way, no matter what. If I fail, it's going to be failing doing it my way. What I'm not going to do is change for everybody else's benefit and still fail. If I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail doing it my way. And that's what he's saying in that interview there. I don't have another idea. And if I go and try and change now after 6 weeks at the club, all that 6 weeks is wasted, because I've tried to get a new shape. At the moment, it's not working for him. What he's hoping for, with more work, with more time on the training field, and maybe more players coming in January, it might start working for him in this formation and this philosophy that he's got.
Jurgen, rumours and speculation about his future. He went on Instagram today after The Sun reported that he steps up bid to quit United, hold talks with an agency who, of course, dealt with Gareth Bale. He's been a lot of false stories written over the past few weeks, but guys, this is getting ridiculous. Never met with any agency and don't have any plans to.
If any agent he wants on the planet, it's not going to make a lot of difference. People are not going to pay what Man United want to pay for him, because he has become somewhat problematic. And the trouble is when you have these scenarios, it sort of follows you around like a bad smell. People talk, right? You know, it's even more so nowadays, but even back in the day, managers would talk to other managers. Managers would do their due diligence. Is he a problem? Does he train well? What kind of lifestyle does he have? Can I rely on him? All these sort of scenarios a manager looks at. We don't know the whole story, but let me tell you something. The attitude must have been particularly bad when you have a manager who's up the creek without a paddle in the position that he's in, and still doesn't want to use an individual that could off the bench.
Yes, make a difference.
His main problem, Marcus Rashford's main problem, has been over the last couple of years is his body language on the field. When a team is struggling, when you're struggling as a player, the only way you get the crowd back on side and get your confidence is to run around and go and close somebody. It's amazing what you can do. If you run and chase somebody down and get a slide challenge in, the crowd all stand on their feet and give you a round of applause. Suddenly your confidence comes back, and then when the ball comes, you might play a bit more. At the moment, his body language when he's playing on the field looks like a player that's disinterested, and that's a major problem for him.
And dare I say it, whether Joshua Zirkzee's upset or Marcus Rashford's annoyed is really, I think, the least of Amorim's problems going into this weekend.
Yes. You've been there, you've done that. What do you make of what Amorim is saying?
I totally understand him, and I'm just hopeful that he gets the backing of the team and the team buys into it, but I'm sure that the team buys into, because he's working with them every day. He has communication with them. He spends time with them, and I'm pretty sure that he discusses it with his players. He's absolutely right coming into Man United and saying, I have to do it differently than it was before, because there are reasons why they did so poorly before him. So why would he now continue doing it the same way, just being a different person? So absolutely, he has to come in and say, I do it this way. That's where I'm comfortable in, and where I'm confident in, and this is how I would like to play. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try. And absolutely, he's right also that he has no time on the training field, because you're playing every 3-4 days. But he has to do it differently than the people that were there before him. And that's why I get it. I just hope that the players, and that kind of environment where, the inner circle of the club, the people that you see there every day, that they buy into it. They give him also the support for that. And then I think they're going to forgive him also a couple of defeats in the beginning. Obviously, it cannot be too many, because they cannot allow, obviously, to slip anywhere down to relegation. This would be a catastrophe. But I understand why he wants to do it this way, because he has to do it differently than the guy before him.
How can you, first of all, how can you play Eriksen and Casemiro? That's been the problem for last season already. So having them two in the middle of the park, you're asking now yourself that you're going to play against an energetic team. Newcastle, the power of Newcastle is Jollington, Guimaraes and Tonelli. Those are guys with a lot of energy. So if you want to play those two guys, you got to tell them, guys, stick together and stay together. I see Eriksen playing left wing and then chasing back. That is too spread in the middle with that much experience. You either got to, for me, if you want to be a Man United side and if you want to play three at the back, you got to make sure your midfield is stacked and making sure that they keep the discipline, especially because they are going to have runners against them. And when you're talking about the defense, what Robbo said is identical. First goal, he was too late to step back, Maguire. The second goal, he goes, no, I'm going to have Isak, so I show you that I have a man. No, exactly where he stepped forward to grab Isak is where the delivery of the ball came. So if he stayed in his position, he would have flicked the ball. But he stepped forward because then he has a man, and then Martinez was too late. Yeah, but it's normal that it's going to be too late, because what Isak did well on the first goal, really well, I stick in the middle of them, and when I stay in the middle, neither one of you is going to pick me up. And that, I mean, Jurgen, you can tell me, strikers love that moment. When the defender doesn't know where you are, they're smiling.
So, Jurgen, what the heck do you do against Liverpool this weekend, if you're Amorim?
Well, you try to create, obviously, the right energy. You try to create, an environment where they start to believe and are ready for a huge, huge fight, And it's all down, even in this, I mean, it might sound a bit old school, but it's all down to winning your one-against-one battles. You need to be more aggressive than the Liverpool players. You need to make it miserable for them. You don't give them space. You're right on top of them. So both goals that we just saw that they conceded there, the cross should never have come in the first place. Never, ever. It was the outside back's job to block those crosses. That's the main issue. Then you have no problem inside the box at all anymore. So it's all mental at the end of the day. It's all about the desire now to go in there and prove a point. And they have all the qualities in the world to prove a point. Then when you give them a real fight and you might lose 2-1 or 1-0 or whatever, then, Liverpool in that day was maybe a little bit better. But I think they have the qualities to turn this around. Amorim has the quality and the intelligence to turn it around. But it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of feistiness and aggressiveness that they have to bring to the table, and then we'll see. We'll see.
But the concern here is that you're almost conceding the middle of the park before the game started, because you go with this back three, which is going to go with, which is fine. Then you have to worry about distances between your left-sided centre back and your right-sided centre back and your two wing backs. But if you have Mo Salah on one side and Cody Gakpo on the other with Luis Diaz here, you're not sending Lisandro Martinez or Mateus de Ligt out to the full-back position. You're dragging your wing-backs back in. So straight away by doing that, you have three marking one in the middle in Diaz. You have the wing-backs, I'm sorry to get technical here, but you have the wing-backs back in as a five. And all of a sudden, without doing a lot, you have Liverpool, who have been very strong, probably the strongest team in the league in the middle of the pack this season. They're going to have the numbers in there straight away. So I don't see any reason why, if he sticks to this system, that's not going to how this game pans out.
He'll probably go with a midfield three. If you play with five at the back, you can play with a midfield three and you can play with two up front. But then it leaves the opposition's fullbacks with all the freedom to come forward every time. And with Alexander-Arnold whipping in crosses from the right-hand side, that's going to be a major problem. So he's got to somehow just adjust his system slightly to stop Liverpool and their strengths down the right-hand side causing so much damage.
We'll look ahead, of course, to this game in shows to come, but just a couple of other things from the Newcastle game. You're in Amsterdam at the moment, Mario. I'm intrigued to know how the Xerxes story has been dealt with over there. Obviously, subbed off, clearly emotional. A lot of talk about what it's like being subbed in the first half as a player. I'm just wondering what the coverage has been like there.
You know what happened to Cristiano Ronaldo, and he is not maybe Ronaldo's level, but you know how it blew up when he walked into the dressing room and he never came back? I was so happy that he came back, because for Sirkse, it's a big step coming to a big club. And he comes from, okay, he was at Bayern, don't get me wrong, but at Bayern he wasn't yet where the level he was now, the opportunities he's getting. Then he went to Italy, and then he comes to a big club in England. So for him now, you're going to be judged on goals. And now people start asking, even in Holland, saying like, what position is key for him? Striker, what is he? He scored 3 goals. You want more goals of him. But then he's not really a striker, because he's a guy that likes to connect with players and set them up and make them play comfortable. But when you come to Man United, they didn't took you for that. And even Almiron, he made a comment about it too. He said, sometimes he's more a creative guy that sets other people up. But that is not always we are looking for, because you want goals. He needs goals at the moment, because if he wants to win games, it's not going to be by playing cute football. He just has to he needs a scorer. He needs someone that can put it in the back of the net.
Inevitably, there's already reports, Jurgen, coming out that maybe he could move in January to get away, to reset, to start again. As a manager, how are you dealing with this situation?
Yeah, you got to give him time. I mean, this kid is so talented. He's so talented. I saw him in many games in Italy, and I totally believe that he can break through at Man United and play a big role there. You know, right now he comes at a moment or in a phase of Man United that is in a turbulence moment. You know, it's difficult. So for him, it's also difficult to be part of that dressing room, to make friends, to connect to everybody, because everybody thinks right now, you know, on his own little world, and so for him, it's tough to find his path in a moment of the club that is not going so well. But when you see his talent, when you see his potential, and how he can connect also with his teammates, and how he can play from the left, from the right, he can play in the middle as a point striker. He has so many different cards in his pockets to play that I'm sure that Man United will benefit from it down the road. You know, maybe not today, maybe not in the next 2 weeks, but maybe in 4 weeks or in 2 months. This kid is special, is good, and I would just kind of let him grow.
Add him to the list of players that come in and don't flourish at Manchester United. In fact, seem to get worse. Well,
it's not the easiest place to come into. It hasn't been for quite some time. A conveyor belt of managers, bad signings, confidence, the whole shebang isn't easy for anybody. I dare say it's a little bit of a story, but I mean, a player getting taken off 35 minutes because it's going pear-shaped isn't the be-all and end-all. I mean, your decisions have to be made.
Right.
I think the right thing that he did was at least he came back.
You had to feel a little bit sorry for him as well, because just the way he was playing, it didn't look as though he knew what his role was.
Right.
You know, because they had Højlund up front, and he wasn't playing in the number 10 position. He was playing almost through the old-fashioned inside left position, and he wasn't quite sure. He was looking around. Do I go and close down the opposition when they're playing out from the back? Do I drop into midfield and make another number in there because we're getting outplayed in there? What do I do when we've got the ball? Where do I find the space? So he was a little bit lost in the game, but that wasn't his fault. That's probably the manager not quite getting his tactics right and not quite giving him the information that he needed. So he was in a really difficult situation, and made worse when he was taken off.
We'll say thank you very much, mate. Once again, all the best for 2025. Just a reminder, we've got Premier League action this weekend, and then next weekend it is all about the FA Cup. All of these matches, all 32 games, live on ESPN Plus, including Aston Villa against West Ham, Liverpool against Accrington Stanley, Manchester City against Salford City, and then, of course, on the Sunday it is Arsenal against Manchester United.